You ready? The licking is not, hey, we just need to not lick really loudly. Can we take a minute to appreciate? Can you even see her? Regal upon her throne. Hi kids, welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza. Winnie is down there, very precariously perched around the tripod, so fingers crossed she starts moving it. And obviously we just did a close-up of the cheesiest cheese that ever did live. We are here today to do a recent reads. Why? Because if I wait too long, it's too many books and it's overwhelming. So I like to do this while it's whelming, which is the incorrect usage of that word, and I don't have to keep reminding you. But I like it. I like to say it. I am caffeinated to the gills and having even more caffeine. Lord help us. The first book we're going to talk about is King of Wrath. I read this in a reading vlog, and some of the other books that are in this recent reads are in that reading vlog as well. It shows up over there when I put it on the screen. Have a little gander, have a little look-see. If you really want to know how I felt about reading these books. King of Wrath, I absolutely picked up on a whim. A complete and total, this looks familiar, I must have seen it somewhere. I'm pretty sure this author and this series is quite beloved. This is a series of businessy, maybe, type romances. I don't know. They feel very mafia romance, but they're not mafia. They're like billionaires. It's like business, but you know, blackmailing and secrets and treachery and murders or something. I don't know. And even though it was not high literature, it was incredibly entertaining. I flew through this. This is the story of Dante, and he is a bajillionaire and comes from old money and has proven himself to be quite the business savvy gentleman when he is being blackmailed by another very wealthy family into marrying their daughter. Their daughter Vivian is somewhat financially independent of her family, but yet feels a lot of the pressures to do what her family wants of her. And so she, unfortunately, is set up in this marriage without her consent, and she goes along with it because that is what is expected of her. So her and Dante are in a arranged marriage, which doesn't seem like it is far-fetched in this world with this level of wealth. But Vivian doesn't know that her father is blackmailing Dante into doing this. So we have an arranged marriage. Dante is pissed off. He is not too happy about Vivian. He's not too nice to her, but gradually, as he gets to know her, he starts to like her. Romance and spicy things happen. Dante is the epitome of a walking red flag, and yet Vivian was having a good time. And so was I. It's fun. It's fine. It's not going to change your life. But if you need something that's got a little bit of angst, a little bit of tension, that's a little bit of we don't like each other to we like each other, but also he's a billionaire so he can take you to Bali. Like, that's exactly what this is giving. I had a good time. I have heard within this series, the ratings on Goodreads are all over the place. And so it seems to be that you need to read within the series the tropes that you enjoy. Go through, pick what sounds tasty, but it doesn't sound like you should just plow through the entire series without a care in the world. You might not enjoy your time as much. Be a little selective. You know, if the synopsis intrigues you, go ahead. Pick it up, give it a try. I liked this book, and I'll probably pick up more from this author. The next book we're going to talk about is Wild and Wrangled, and this is the completion of the Rebel Blue series, which I had a pretty decently good time with. Honestly, I had no idea that I enjoyed the cowboy romance, and yet here we are. And I enjoyed some cowboy romance. The series starts with, it just happens to be sitting right here, Done and Dusted. Follows the family that owns the Rebel Blue Ranch, this ranch in Wyoming that sounds picturesque and beautiful, wide open spaces, lots of horses, and super dreamy cowboys. The first and the third book in this series, so this book and I think it's Lost and Lassoed is the name of that one, I really, really enjoyed. The second book, which is not going to show up in my brain right now, was an okay, decent, good time. And this one, Wild and Wrangled, I actively disliked. But that's okay. This series did good things for me, and I'm not mad. I read this. I actually just, at the 75% mark, started skimming really, really hard because this is the story of Cam and Dusty. You've been introduced to these characters in earlier books. Cam is the mother of another character's child, but the child is a result of a one-night stand, and they are friends. They co-parent well. There is not a romantic relationship there. We have met Cam in the beginning of the series and followed her along. She was engaged to another man. And in the end of the third book and the opening of this book, you find out, this is a slight spoiler, so get ready, gird yourself, prepare yourself. You find out that Cam gets left at the altar. The relationship she was in was more of a friendship that they had decided to marry in order to please both of their families. But before they went through with it, the man that she was in a relationship with fell for someone else. And he was like, if I have a chance at happiness, I'm not going to settle for just okay. And he ran off into the sunset with the person that he had fallen in love with. So now Cam has been left at the altar, but she's not necessarily heartbroken. I mean, she's not happy about this, but she wasn't in love with this person. And so it's more that she's having to deal with everyone else worrying about her, which is an interesting way to start a story. Cam has a history with another character in the series. His name is Dusty. He's more of a wanderer. He has globe-trotted and worked on a ranch in New Zealand and worked in Alaska. Like, he's just been across the globe, and he has come back to the small town that he is from, and he finds out that Cam got left at the altar and shows up where she is to be a good friend. These two have kind of avoided each other since Dusty came back into town because there were feelings there, and throughout the book we flash back and forth to when Cam and Dusty first meet in high school and to now where Cam and Dusty are reconnecting as friends. I 1000% was irritated with Cam. I think that you're not supposed to be, but I found her character a little insufferable. Honestly, I think Dusty deserved better. Like, that's point blank. Dusty deserved better than Cam and what she was putting him through, especially because we're getting the flashbacks to high school and we find out why the relationship ended previously. I don't really understand it. And then I am personally kind of given the ick when we are dealing with characters and smexy, sexy, spicy scenes when they're like 18 years old. Like, they don't do anything of the spicy nature before they turn 18. That's a personal thing. If you like reading YA new adult when these characters are very, very young, when they're, and it's not a bad thing that they're doing that. I don't want to say that. It's just not something I enjoy reading. So I did not like that. Personal ick. If you don't mind that kind of thing, it probably won't bother you. But this was by far my least favorite in the series. I don't want to put you off the series in its entirety. I really did enjoy it, but I skipped the last 25% of this almost completely and just got to the end and was like, Dusty deserves better. Like, that was my takeaway. Dusty deserves better. The next book I picked up after that was Cursed Bread. I picked this up on audio from the library. I have no idea how I heard about it, but it came to me and I consumed it with my ear holes. Okay. I am going to paraphrase a Goodreads review that I saw right as I was picking this up. An incredibly horny book. It's not spicy, it's not smutty, but it is incredibly horny, and not in a fun way, at least not for me. This is the story of a small town in France that I believe it's after World War II, but I don't feel like looking right now. Post-war, I don't know which one, but post-war, I'm pretty sure this is taking place in the early 1950s. This small French town, there is some sort of outbreak of hysteria. They blame it on the bread. They say there was some sort of tainted bread situation that caused all of these people to become incredibly ill incredibly quick. That premise sounds really interesting. There are people that believe the theory that there was some sort of government interference, some sort of testing was happening on these people. There's other people who just believe there was some accidental tainting of the bread. They don't know for sure, and it's fun to follow these threads and see in this fictional story what could have happened. But unfortunately, in this story, we are stuck with Elodie, who would sound like the perfect person to be stuck with because she is the wife of the local baker. Elodie is adjacent to this character known as the ambassador who comes to town with his wife. He integrates himself into the population by buying the beers and rolling up his sleeves and becoming friends with the locals. But he seems to have some sort of sinister backstory, some ulterior motives, and his wife as a character is very odd. These two are the only new element in this town before the outbreak of what I'm going to call insanity. You would think that would lead us to getting little snippets following this mystery as people start to lose their minds. That's all happening in the room next door. This is how I have described it. I'm sticking to it. This book is like being at a party and there is a fascinating conversation happening over to your right, but you are stuck here with Elodie. She has taken you hostage with her horniness and will not let you leave. And although you can hear snippets of things that are happening over here, and you really want to know what's going on with the bread and the ambassador and his wife, what is that? Instead, you have to hear every horny ass thought that pops into Elodie's head. Every horny thought. Elodie is a bit of a voyeur in the beginning of the story, and as the deterioration of this town starts happening, it starts getting even more insane. And I did not like this because Elodie had cornered me. And if you've ever been cornered in a party, someone has found you and just like cornered you with their conversation, and they're just pinning you in place with what they're saying. And if that has not happened to you, what's it like to be God's favorite? Because it's definitely happened to me before. And you're just like trying to make eye contact with someone, being like, please, for the love of God, I can't hear about this person's rash anymore. Help me. Help me. Can you come over here and help me? But you can't say that because it's impolite to scream, stop talking to me. It's strangers. Anyways, I did not like Cursed Bread. I felt like we had the wrong narrator. I felt like we were stuck in the wrong story. And I felt like the mystery of this bread and these people unraveling would have been much more engaging if I wasn't stuck listening to Elodie be horny. The next book I picked up after that, The Night and the Moth. This beautiful book is a new release from Rachel Gillig. You might know this author. Are you done? Bye. You thinking about not leaving? She just decided to switch dog beds, that's all. You might know Rachel Gillig as the author of, what is this? The Shepherd King, I believe is the name of this. Yes, The Shepherd King duology, which starts with One Dark Window and concludes with Two Twisted Crowns. I enjoyed this duology. I really think the stronger of the two is the second book. I really enjoyed the second book. I went into the first book with somewhat low expectations, didn't know what I was getting, got a pretty cool magic system, and average, if not just a very mid romance through line. But the second book, the romance gets better. The world has already been established, so we get to dive deeper into these magic systems. I enjoyed this as a set. So, knowing that I had liked this author previously and had liked them more as they went along, I was excited to pick up this book. And it did not disappoint. I had a really good time with this. Again, do not go into this thinking this is going to completely change everything. This is not reinventing the wheel, yet is still a really good time. If you are here for this ride, it is going to give you a good time. That, I don't even know if that sentence was correct, but you know, you're picking up when I put them down. This is the story of Six, and she is one of 6 young women who are taken as children, as foundlings, as orphans to this great cathedral to become diviners. They are signed up for 10 years of service where they divine the futures of those who come to seek their magic. And then after 10 years, they are let free into the world and 10 new diviners are brought in. The entire place is run by a mysterious character called the Abbess and a group of sentient gargoyles. There is one gargoyle in particular who will absolutely steal your heart and the show, and he is by far the best part of this book. I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if he had not been a part of it. One day, the new king shows up at the cathedral with all of his knights in tow to have his fortune divined, and shortly after, it goes a certain way and he gets his answer. Six's sister diviners, why is it a tongue twister, start disappearing. She has to seek the help of one of the infuriating yet attractive knights of the king and ends up going on an adventure to save her sisters. This has a very dark, gothic-y, crumbling building, stained glass window type atmosphere to it. I really enjoyed it. It ends on a moment. It makes you immediately want to pick up the second book. The second book does not exist yet, but the author has said when talking about the second book, the word she would use to describe it would be tournament, and the reference she would use is A Knight's Tale, the Heath Ledger movie, which is a modern classic, and if you haven't watched it, what are you doing with yourself? Go watch it. But that makes me even more excited to see where this world goes. I really liked The Night and the Moth, and I'm not going to apologize. I liked it, okay? I liked it. The next book I picked up after that was Reign and Ruin. And this I picked up at a local romance bookstore near me. This was touted as fantasy romance for the fantasy lover, the epic fantasy romance, where this had a lot more fantasy world building and politics along with the romance. And that sounded like something that I was going to eat right up. But unfortunately, I didn't really end up liking this. And I was highly disappointed because I was supposed to like this. Everything about that I was supposed to like. I found this, like, honestly irritating because there was a lot of characters getting away with things that they shouldn't get away with. Yes, I understand that there is nuance in the politics and we're in a fantasy world where we are working through the politics, but there was just a lot of circling around characters getting away with things. We're having to have a talk about this. We're having to have a talk about that. I just didn't care about any of this, and it might have been when I was trying to read it, but I ended up skimming the last bit so hard that I was like, okay. It took me over a month to get through even the portion of this that I actually paid attention to. And then I was just skimming to see, okay, so what happens in the end? There is still a lot of praise for this. And so if it's something that interests you, you should definitely still give it a try. It just wasn't a hit for me. And I was incredibly disappointed by that. The only synopsis I can give you is there is a character who is our sultanate, and she is the daughter of the current sultan who is in deteriorating health, mental health, and the people around him that would wish to take advantage of that are trying to. She is trying to secure her throne when she tries to make an alliance with a neighboring kingdom that they don't have the best relationship with. There is a little bit of miscommunication that happens, and the prince with a secret from that neighboring kingdom shows up on her doorstep, and these two become allies in this fight to put her on the seat of the crown. There you go. There you go. Politics and politics and politics. The next book I picked up after that was Ringshout. This is a book I picked up because I had heard about it quite a few times, especially when it came to other forms of media. If you like blank, then you'll like Ringshout. It had started making the rounds again because they were saying if you like Sinners, the movie, you'll probably like Ringshout. I have not seen Sinners. I will watch Sinners. I will watch it eventually. But the algorithm was trying to spoil it for me. I had to cover my eyes anytime I looked at social media because they were like, do you want to know how it ends? And I said, no. No, I don't. Leave me alone. The other media that I have watched that constantly gets recommended alongside this is Lovecraft Country, the TV show, which is a few years old now, but I remember enjoying at the time. Some of the episodes I like more than the others, but it is also based on a book, and I think the book is like a collection of interconnected short stories, which lends itself well to an episodic TV show, each episode having a very different feel to it. But I picked up Ringshout and was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it. This is the story of a group of women living in the 1920s, I believe, and they are all Black women living in the South, but in this version of America, the Ku Klux Klan is not just a bunch of awful garbage white guys. These people are actually literally monsters, full-fledged giant angry monsters. And so this group of women, along with some allies, are killing the monsters. This is more of an action adventure horror. There's definitely horrific elements to this. We are killing monsters. It's very much attacking racism with a giant otherworldly sword. I had a great time with this. I thought it was really well done. And I also said, if you enjoy Ringshout and you're looking for something that feels somewhat similar, I would say pick up the Ballad of Black Tom. This story I feel like is a little bit less action adventure-y, but still feels very similar in the celestial otherworldly horror, but also racism and the time period. And I think if you like one, you'll like the other. And the last book we're going to talk about is The Exorcism of Fairies. I picked this up off Kindle Unlimited because it said it was 1990s Dublin, dark academia, also fae or fairies or something fairy related. Also, there's going to be a romance between a professor and a grad student. All of those things. I was like, okay, sure. Okay. I might have seen a TikTok on this, and I think it was from the author, and I think their TikTok advertising is pretty stinking. It's good. Unfortunately, I did not like this book. At the beginning, I was totally invested. I was having a great time. We have our character who is Ada, and she is finishing up a grad program, and she is studying botany. But in this version of Dublin in the 90s, there is this illness that is occurring, some sort of plague, and no one knows how it is contracted. But if you get it, you will slowly turn into like a plant, like botanical things like burst out of you. And so there's like this underlying plague that is happening here. And we have our character studying botany because she's wanting to make a difference and figure out what is going on. There's also this like secret society that she's working with. And the opening of the story, she is transporting a body of someone who has died from this mysterious plague illness to this secret society for them to study, because they are also trying to eradicate this illness that has popped up and is killing people all over Dublin. All of that, very interesting. It lost the plot like halfway through. And although this book, I think, wasn't even 400 pages, it dragged. It felt incredibly bloated, even though there weren't even like the story that we were telling, there wasn't enough meat to it for it to fill out those 300 some odd pages. And the romance was weird. There just was this weird disconnect happening from the kind of buildup of the first half of the story. When we got to the middle, we lost all momentum. We lost everything that was built up. And then the ending of this was so anticlimactic that I went back and went back and was like, did I miss something? This can't be how it ends. It felt like a book that was incredibly bloated, even though it wasn't that big, which means the pacing was off and I wasn't connecting with anybody, which was unfortunate. It had a whole bunch of buzzwords that I wanted to like, but honestly, every single review that I read after I finished this was saying the same thing. This had such a good start. What happened? Do I think you should pick this up? Probably not. I wouldn't write this author off completely. I think they had some really cool ideas in the beginning. The execution of it just wasn't there, and that was disappointing. But that, kids, is where we are going to end this recent reads. Been reading some damn books, and I'm trying my best to catch you up on it. If you're reading something awesome and you want to tell me about it, leave it in the comments below. If you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs, please subscribe. And I'll see you next time.